Hello, my name is Michael Dwyer, and I'm with Rochester Writers. Once again, Rochester Writers in the Rochester Hills Public Library have teamed up to host their annual author fair. We're doing 20 interviews with 20 authors and bringing them to you this way so you get a chance to meet everyone before the event on November 27th, Saturday after Thanksgiving, from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. We hope you can join us live. And right now we're speaking with Robert A. Lytle. Hey, Bob, how are you?
Good. Thank you, Michael.
So glad for you to join us again for the author fair and again to welcome us to your beautiful home here. As viewers of all these videos might notice, it's a little different backdrop. So thank you.
You're welcome. I love to show it off anytime we can. So I'm glad you could come.
Well, tell us about your latest book. I know that you'll have all of them at the author fair, but tell us about the latest one or two that you're highlighting.
Well, the latest one is a story about Mackinac Island. It's a time travel story. I get my own grandchildren to be a part of the story. They walk a labyrinth that we have on the property that I built a few years ago. And in the story, they walk the labyrinth and they do it on Midsummer's Eve, which is kind of a spooky time. And they walk it and they come out in 1823 on a labyrinth there on Mackinac Island. And so they meet all these people that were on Mackinac Island at that time, some very important people. William Beaumont was doing his work with the Voyager from Montreal, who had gotten shot in the stomach, and so that's when he started doing all of his work on digestion that he became famous for. There's an Indian woman who was a fur trader. She and her husband had been fur traders, and she became very wealthy from that. And she was very well known for taking in the children. And so my grandchildren become part of her home there on Mackinac Island. She takes them in and she keeps the secret of their time traveling. She was kind of worried about what the people would, the Mackinac Island people, the soldiers and the people that were living there on Mackinac Island at the time would think about time travel. So she was protecting them. So she became a very important part of the story. There was several other people that were on Mackinac Island at that time. And the boys and the girls in the story, my grandchildren, hook up with various people to become their assistants and helping them while they were on the island for 4 long months. All the time they were trying to get back to their real time, but they were stuck, and so they had to do some of they had to help. One of them became Dr. Beaumont's assistant. One of them became a helper with the fort for the person who was in charge of the fort at that time. So there was one of them was John Jacob Astor's manager for the fur company. That's my granddaughter, Charlotte. She's the entrepreneur in the family, and so she got along very well with John Jacob Astor's manager, Robert Stewart. So there were several other people, too, on the island that were, the Mackinac Island is known for those people, and I thought it was kind of fun to have my grandchildren hook up with them and find out what they were really like and the things that they did on Mackinac during that 4 months.
So all of these characters that are part of the story that were there, that your grandchildren, the characters in the story meet, were actually on Mackinac at some point. Were they all there together, like the story says?
Yep, they were all, and they interacted as they would have at that time. There weren't that many people on the island. There were voyagers, and of course the Native Americans. And one of those Native Americans was a what do you call him, medicine man, and he becomes at the very end of the story a very important part of the story. He gets them back to their own time, but it wasn't until he did his work to get them to be able to come back to their real time. So he's very important. There's other people too were involved. Father, I can't think of his name right now, but he was a very important person in Detroit and the whole Michigan. He was on Mackinac Island at that time. I'll think of his name, but yeah, he was part of the story.
So this is really a story that is time travel adventure. There's that fiction component, but yet you have these real people in it. So it's educational and fun to read at the same time, right?
That was my intention. Yep. And at the very end of in the back of the book is short stories of each one of these people, and their real lives and what they accomplished. That if I didn't mention it in the story, I mention it as a addendum to the book. So there's a lot of interesting history that I think kids would. Adults too. I think a lot of the people who have read this book are adults, and they've really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Remind us the title of the book.
This one is called Grandpa's Labyrinth: Journey to Devil's Kitchen. Devil's Kitchen, if you're familiar with Mackinac Island, is a cave along the west, just below the West Bluff, near the Grand Hotel, but right on the shoreline. So that's right, where they actually end up.
Well, Bob Lytle, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you and your book, especially this one, Grandpa's Labyrinth, at the author fair at the Rochester Hills Public Library on Saturday, November 27th, between the hours of 10 and 3. Thanks again, Bob, and we'll see everyone at the author fair.
Thank you, Michael. Hope to see everyone there.